This is the Teacher's Discussion with J. Krishnamurti at Brockwood Park, 1974.
Or shall we? What shall we talk about? I don't know.
Krishnaji, you have discussed with us about responsibility, and I'm interested in coordinating my responsibility with those that I work with and those that I live with, so that it's together.
I don't quite follow. You mean how to work together? Come on, Miss Pratt.
Excuse me, sorry.
Yes.
I can only work with you if I also feel responsible for the same thing. I mean, do we, all of us, feel responsible in that sense? That we are all building this together, though there have to be certain decisions made, say by Mrs. Simmons. But is it possible to work together in the sense of creating this play, creating together, thinking together, working what we have thought out together? Can we all do this? Not form little groups of our own, little gurus, you know what I mean, all that stuff. Can we do this? Do we feel really responsible in the deep sense of that word?
Krishnaji, I feel we've discussed this word responsibility before. It means, I think it implies a certain caring. To care and also to respond rightly. Seems to me that, speaking for myself and maybe others feel this, the case of responding rightly seems to be a difficult one, because at the present I get the feeling the students are rather confused. They have a lot of different ideas, things they want to do, things they don't want to do, and how to respond to that rightly seems to be the question.
Is it the doing, or is it the feeling of responsibility? You know what I mean? The feeling of responsibility, and then the doing together. Which is it first?
Well, I think the feeling is there.
I'm just... no. Apparently, when Ted asked, how can he said, how can he, though he might feel responsible, bring about a coordination with others who also feel responsible. And to that we said, do we all feel responsible? Or we feel more responsible than the others? I would like to discuss this, really, go into this rather deeply.
It could be that our very sense of responsibility puts us at variance.
What are you all looking at me for? I feel a bit nervous.
No, we genuinely want help.
Now, I'd like to discuss this question, not what to do first, but whether one has the feeling of it, the spirit of it, the perfume of responsibility. I might feel responsible, and I might express that responsibility in a rather authoritarian way. And therefore that feeling of responsibility is destroyed by my authoritarian action. Or I might express that responsibility not clearly, rather sloppily. I might express that responsibility with sentimentality, with emotionalism, with little irritation, anger, or in a different mood, and so on. So all those expressions, varying according to my daily activities, daily feeling, might destroy the inward feeling of real responsibility in the showing of it. I wonder if I'm making myself clear. I think it's fairly clear. Right? Now, which is it? The feeling of responsibility, first, do we all have it? That is, do we all feel it at the same time, with the same intensity, at the same level? Or you feel responsible in one way and I feel responsible in another way. You follow? So there is a clash between our responsibilities. If you and I felt responsible at the same time, with the same intensity, with the same level, maintain that all the time, then there would be no divergence. There would be no division between you, saying you're not responsible, I am, etc., etc. Can we maintain this responsibility? Not let it down or go, one day feel it less, one day feel it more, according to our moods and idiosyncrasies. I think that we ought to discuss that a little bit.
Sometimes it appears as a difference of style in people, a difference of
That's what
temperament, way of expressing, but that doesn't have to be a difference of serious intent, does it? It's just a different way of putting it.
No, I might express my responsibility through a gesture. And that gesture might convey to the person that I am authoritarian. And so my feeling of responsibility is diminished in relation to him. So he says, well, he's really not responsible, he just, and brushes me off. So my question is, can we maintain this responsibility?
I think we want to bear in mind the two sides of responsibility. There's you responding to somebody else and somebody responding to you.
To you, quite.
I think the danger is frequently that we recognise our own response to a situation, but don't take in the other person.
Other person. All right, so let's begin. What are we trying to do here? You please tell me. You tell me. What are we all trying to do here?
Amongst other things, that we're trying to create an environment or an atmosphere in which students will learn to feel their responsibility towards this community and towards the world.
I think we're also trying to create an environment where we can see ourselves functioning more clearly, come upon ourselves, that's what at least it's for me, come upon ourselves without being introspective.
Without?
Being introspective. Come upon the centre core which makes for disharmony in living.
We're also demanding by our intent a degree of maturity in young children and all of us, which is, it would seem to me, notably lacking in the world today in all fields. We're asking them to have order, intelligence, and what comes out as self-discipline out of themselves and out of all of us, to live that way without any imposition and restrictions, which is a very, it seems to me, demanding thing to ask of everybody.
Isn't there a tendency by saying this to throw up ideals to make? Is by saying what you're trying to do, aren't you creating an ideal?
No.
We're trying to act intelligently.
No, I'm not trying. Here we are, a group of us, responsible to the parent, to the children, to the student, and responsible to ourselves and responsible to each other. And here we are. What is it? What is it that we are trying to create?
I think that what Nicholas just said is a cause of considerable confusion here. That if you say anything clearly, you've created a sort of template of what is expected.
Does clarity bring confusion? Suppose I say something very clearly and definitely, does that create trouble?
That may not create trouble, but it is translated by the...
No, wait a minute, let's look at it. I say something very clearly and definitely, and you, to whom I'm saying that, don't like it. Why? Because you are confused?
Well, I may like it, but I may say, oh yes, that means we must do this.
No, much deeper at level. I'm not asking what to do. I say something very clear and obvious, and you refuse to see it and translate what I say as creating confusion in you and about you. Is that it?
Well, that may happen too, but...
No, I want to get at this. Mrs. Simmons says, look, go. It's fairly obvious what. I don't have to translate it. How do we take this up?
Possibly from a young person's point of view, please correct me because I don't come too much in contact with the young. But is it as though we're saying to them, we expect you to behave intelligently and correctly, but there's no pattern? In other words, they say, well, what am I supposed to do?
Now,
and
all right, just let's take that very clearly. There's no pattern, and the student says, I don't know what you want me to do.
And the moment you say anything clearly...
Yeah, wait a minute, that's what I want to bring it in.
Then they say, oh yes, that's the pattern, and I like it or I don't like it, or whatever.
That's what I want to get at. What do you mean by not having any pattern here? Not any system, not any method, not any framework, mold, form, which they loved in science. Form, framework. What do you mean by that? There is no framework here. Would you tell me?
We don't have tradition. We're attempting not to have tradition.
But you have a tradition.
We're not having a tradition in the sense that things are because we say they are. And that's
No, not in that sense. I'm asking you, what do you mean by not having a frame here?
Well, don't say you must come to the morning meeting.
Wait, take that. Take that one incident.
But do they feel that?
Huh?
Do they feel that?
Wait.
It's equal if they come or don't come?
And that you...
No, I want... Just a minute. We have no framework. You say we have no framework. But yet you expect the students to come to the morning assembly. Yes. That's a framework.
What isn't a framework?
That's what I want to...
Effect.
No, you expect them to come here.
Well, you hope. Yes.
No, you expect them to say... And that creates a form, doesn't it? Why do you want them to come here? Come to the assembly in the morning?
So that they can participate in the corporate feeling of being together and doing something together.
What are you doing together, meeting in the morning?
We're being silent and watching our thoughts and listening to something together.
And you expect them to come every morning to do that?
No, we don't expect them, but we feel that if they did come, it would be an immense value.
But what? I don't feel like coming. What will you do with me?
In fact, we do expect them to come.
We don't know what to do.
Yeah.
In fact, we do expect them to come.
And we don't know what to do.
You expect them to come.
Maybe that expectation is...
Now, you see, therefore you've got a form.
Right.
Don't fiddle around with words.
Exactly, we have a form.
We expect
We have
them
a framework.
to come out of themselves. So
We
to
hope
us
they
it isn't a form.
Hope, wish, subtly suggest.
Why they come out of their interests, as they said.
That's what next step. Either I come out of myself, out of interest, therefore I come. And there's another who doesn't want to come. He wants to stay in bed or get up and wander, whatever it is. What will you do? And why? No, I know all your answers. Please listen to me first. What do you expect out of this gathering in the morning? What is it to you? Ted, what is it to you in the morning?
I come and there is many other people there. I find that I can listen with everyone to the same thing, and afterwards not expect a intervention or confusion, but for a short length of time carefully look as closely as possible and as quietly as possible.
Are you saying it's a period or a time of self-recollectedness, of being recollected, of recollection, of being watchful during that 15 minutes?
Yes, I didn't understand the word recollection, but when you described it, yes.
Is that why you come?
At that time.
And is it important for you?
Oh yes.
Huh?
Yes.
And you get up, walk to get here, to be here. Hmm?
Yeah.
Now, how do you convey that to a student to whom you have already said no no frame, no form, no tradition, no etc., etc.? How will you convey that to him?
Well,
without authoritarian voice, without authoritarian gesture, how will you say, look, this is very important for you to come?
In the few cases recently, I've been trying to understand clearly what, like in one case, it's sleepiness, and yet I find the person getting to bed on time, and they just have this trouble getting up. And some mornings, between I and another person will wake them up 3 or 4 times. Now that case is.
No, I am asking a different question. How will you awaken in the student the necessity or the importance or the essence of this feeling that it's good to sit quietly before the day begins, alert, being aware, alert, and all the rest of it? How do you awaken that? So that he says, oh, I'm sleepy, but I'm getting up.
Well, now, in my failure in the last week or so, I now want to go to spend not in the morning when the person is so tired, but some other time with them.
No, you haven't understood, Ted. I'm your student. You have impressed upon me there is no authority here. You have impressed upon me to exercise my own intelligence. You have shown me that there is no frame, mold, etc., etc. And you want to awaken in me the feeling that I must come. It's very important for me to be here. Because you feel it's important. You see the quality of it. You see the what happens if you're all the rest. You follow? How will you awaken that in me?
Well, I feel that I can share that.
I can't share it with you because I don't know what it means.
No, but
I want you to awaken that feeling in me.
Krishnaji, I feel first that perhaps I would begin from a different direction. Talk about the confusion in the world.
No, sir, don't. I'm asking you something. How will you awaken that interest which you have in the student, which will make him come to the meeting, to the assembly in the morning?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And then I go on and talk to him about thought.
And I am not. You're not meeting my point. You awaken about his thought. By the time you explain to him, he's bored with you. He says, oh Lord, here comes. So here comes Jenkins with his explanations and some more of it. I'm bored. I listen, but my mind is somewhere else. I'm asking something else. I don't see the difficulty in this. How will you awaken that desire, to put it very simply, in the student, to make him, for his own accord, to come here?
Well, maybe I'm going to misuse this word again, but what I was looking at was that I can discuss, I can do something with anybody, with a student, that we get closer together and find at the same level something that we're talking about clearly that can expose where they can, that they can appreciate something.
Look, Ted, they come with dirty shoes. They come with deliberate trousers torn. You follow all the rest of it. Unwashed, long hair, all over their face, and I can hardly see their faces sometimes. Sorry, I don't know whether it's a man or a girl or a boy. How will you impress on them the necessity of cleanliness, tidiness, not dirty? You follow all that, including the morning session. Come on, so discuss with me.
Christy, you said we can't share this, but surely if
No,
there is a real relationship between you and I, and we respect each other and we therefore really listen to each other, and if I'm clear about this, then in our relationship,
no, but you are clear.
Be
Wait a
shared.
minute. You are clear that you must come here in the morning.
Yes. Not must, but I'm clear.
I'm using quick word.
Yes.
You see the importance of coming here.
Yes.
And I don't. I come to lunch or dinner or breakfast, unwashed, uncombed hair, you follow, untidy, patched trousers, all the rest of it. Now, how will you create the feeling in the student that without telling them the whole substance of it?
Sorry, without
the explanation.
I think he's saying that our being's got to convey and not rely.
Oh, no, I'm not. No, Miss Pratt, don't translate what I'm saying. I'm here.
Yes, no, but I feel that it's the quality of our being is what is essential, and that no amount of words from any one of us is going to impress them.
No, oh yes, it would.
Sort of template, isn't it?
Huh?
That's another pattern, really.
Another pattern.
Example.
That
What way?
Well, you're saying,
Clearly we're not.
look at me, or
No,
look at this
no,
action.
not look at me.
Well, that's us then.
You are missing my point. Forgive me. I come as a student here, sloppy, mentally, emotionally, physically. Dirty trousers, long hair, unwashed, all in a mess. And you say to me, there is no authority here, no pattern here, no example here. We look to your intelligence, that you do the right thing. You've already thrown tremendous responsibility on myself, haven't you? And I feel lost. Therefore,
They came on those terms, Krishnamurti. They came on those terms.
I know, but
They didn't really understand that.
they don't deeply, poor devils. How can they understand this
Yes,
thing?
but you've got to begin somewhere.
I'm going to, so wait a minute, we're going to begin. I come here. Though you have written to me, though you have said to me, etc., 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 I come here. I won't come here. But I come with all that thing in me. And here you suddenly say there is no pattern. And I say, I'm shocked, I'm surprised, I'm a little disturbed, and so I fall back to be secure in myself, in my old habits. Though you have laid down, you have written to me, you have... you create this uncertainty in me that there is no pattern, no this and that, and I have nothing to rely on. Therefore I go back to my old habits. This is this happens. So what will you do or not do or say or create in me the feeling that I must be orderly, I must come to this meeting? The feeling in me, how will you do it? You understand my feeling, I come as a student in disorder. That's inevitable. The house is in disorder, society is in disorder, everything. I come in disorder. And suddenly you face me with a reality which I can't understand. A reality which says no pattern here, no authority here. You have to exercise your own intelligence, your own good, and I am at a loss, right? And I go back to my old tradition, which is, I'm sloppy. All right, I'm going to be sloppy, because here there is no order. Therefore, I find security in my disorder.
There is order here, though.
Huh?
We haven't said there's no order here.
I know, no. You have said there is no pattern. There is no authority. You have to exercise your own intelligence. And you leave me there. And I, being confused, and I say, well, I can't do anything, but unconsciously I go back to my disorder. How will you free the mind of this disorder? I'm putting it differently. How will you do it? And exercise.
Can you point out the disorder and show the consequences of it?
You point out. Say, look, you've got dirty trousers. You've got too long hair all over your eyes and face, and they're not washed, they're smelly, they're dirty. You point all this out to them. What happens? They say, oh, tell me, sir, what happens?
Well, if they can see it.
And if they can see it, then it's very simple.
But often it causes a resentment. Because
that's what resentment, and saying, I'm going to stick to my... Because you have no authority here.
Well, they see us as trying to impose an authority in that.
That's what I'm trying to... So what will you do?
Well, one thing it seems is that there really must be no authority. Because if they can really see there is attempted authority, then...
But yet you tell me, don't come down with...
Exactly.
Dirty trousers.
So we do, in fact...
No, do look at it. So don't... See, look at it. What will you do? No authority, no frame, no form. Don't come down in dirty trousers.
We say there's no framework and no form, but in fact, in subtle ways, there are frameworks and forms through our expectations.
It's a mistake to say there's no framework and form. Couldn't we say we don't want to operate by a pattern, we don't want to do these things because they are a pattern,
yes.
But we do, in fact, want to be clean, orderly.
No, but I translate it as being form, authority.
Well...
No, it is a very...
Well, you're asking unintelligent people or insensitive people to act with intelligence.
That's the whole point. Put it in a nutshell or 2 words, what will you do?
So, Krishnamurti, it seems to me they're not going to listen to you if they have a feeling about you that you're a hypocrite or you're prejudiced or whatever. So, we've really got to examine our inner prejudices.
You're supposed to do that all the time, sir. If you are responsible, you're not going to project your prejudices, your moods and all that. You keep it in your room and lock it up. See, with the result, what takes place is that 1 or 2 people say, Mrs. Simmons or another says, don't come down with those dirty shoes. And they resent it. They are frightened of her. They say, they'll turn me out if I don't obey. So this thing goes on in them. So how will you prevent all this?
Krishnamurti, you say 1 or 2 are the ones who point out.
Oh, you all may do. Oh, don't take that side. Oh, you all may do. With the result, they might be all frightened of you, or frightened of 1 or 2 people, and so on, so on, so on.
But doesn't it add to the confusion if 1 or 2 are pointing out and the rest aren't, and
therefore
one group
look,
one's friends?
If all of you point out, you scared the daylights out of me. So what will you do? This is really a problem, you understand? It's not just do this, don't do. What can we do? No authority, no frame, no system, and you say, do this on your own intelligence. And they are not intelligent. They are not intelligent, they are disorderly, they are in revolt, they react, they are frightened, all the rest of it. Now what shall I do? If I was in your place, what should I do?
In the course of interacting with the student, for instance, let's say if I'm talking to a young student and her hair is, just her nose is peeking out, in a sense it makes me feel I don't know who I'm talking to.
I know, but they like it that way, because that's the fact.
But if in the course of talking to the person I say, I would like to see your face when I talk to you, I can't, you know.
I understand, but not the face, you follow the whole, what, if I was in your place, what shall I do? I have no authority, I have no frame. I want them to act on their own intelligence, which they haven't got. Or they have an intelligence which becomes cunning, fearful. You follow, all the rest of it follows. So what shall I do? I know what I will do. Huh? What were you going to say?
What would you do?
First of all, in my personal life, I'm not sloppy. Mentally, emotionally, physically, I don't feel sloppy. Right? I know I don't feel sloppy. I'm very clear. Right? I want to convey this non-sloppy clarity. I'm not interested whether they come for the moment, whether they come in dirty trousers or comb, etc. I want to convey to them how destructive mentally it is to be sloppy. I don't know if you noticed among those scientists, they were not sloppy in their field. Right, sir? But they were lost in other fields, which is sloppiness. Sorry, I wouldn't call them. So I would talk to them about that first. I would make this very clear. How destructive.
In a way, Krishnamurti, we have. And they say, my goodness, you look so sort of refined. It's you're a pain to me.
I am refined.
Yeah, but
they
feel refinement is as offensive to them as softness is to us.
I'm going to that. Don't be offended by what I say.
It's unrelaxed, Krishnamurti, perhaps they would say.
I'm not relaxed. I don't want to relax sloppily. When I'm relaxed decently. Sorry.
But
I don't put my feet on a chair. I've never put my feet on a chair.
But that requires a degree of sensibility that doesn't seem to exist.
Therefore, I have conveyed to them. It doesn't.
But we have conveyed it to them.
They say, jump in a leak. Do that.
I'm going to find a way of doing this. I'm going to spend my time to find out.
We are. 6 years we've spent.
But we have 6 years. Every year there is a change. Every year there are new people coming in, sloppy, you have to begin all over again. What shall we do? What would I do? I don't want to be an example. Right? I don't want to be a dominating, authoritarian, non-sloppish person. I don't want to be a school headmaster who says, don't do that, and scare the chap out. So what shall I do? What will you do? Come on, sir, you all sit quietly around me. What will you do? What are you doing? Right, let's take that. What are you doing?
Well, each one pointing things out in our own ways.
I don't want you to point it out in your own way.
Look, say the noise that goes on at night.
I know it.
Yes, well then, what we actually did was to call them all together and say, look, you're disturbing many people.
But it doesn't...
Do you realise you're doing this?
Yes, for the moment.
And they were very good about it. They understood. And they fully intend
to keep it.
Cooperate in that...
And a few minutes later they forget.
Yes.
Bang goes the sound.
They grow a little older.
I understand all this. This is a perpetual game, this. What shall we do?
But you see, they do respond to talking it over and seeing what they're doing. They hadn't seen that. They were so delighted to be here. Bounce, 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 and all the rest of it.
Naturally.
And they do fully intend to do something about it.
But they forget
the same as we may well do at other levels.
I understand all this. They will forget it like 5 minutes later.
Yes.
They're full of beings, full of energy, and they'll shout 5 minutes later.
Yes, well then, what actually in fact happened, after about 4 or 5 times with about 10 different staff, I come in and say, for heaven's sake, it's now 20 minutes past your late night time, gramophones are going, there are 4 adult staff wandering around trying to get you to bed. I said, it's ludicrous. Get to bed. That is actually what I said. Turn the damn gramophone off and get to bed.
Yes. It worked like a charm.
It worked like a charm. But it smells somewhat of authority. And that is a good measure of fittest.
This is what the schools do. Rules. If you don't, out you go, expelled and all the rest of it. Now, here we're trying to work out differently, right? What shall we do?
Last night I tried to speak to them about how we should be aware that our action is different from what we say we understand. That if they could understand this point, if they could realize they're cheating themselves and cheating everybody when they do this, that was a really important point for them to see, that I don't want to hear any more of their excuses.
Then what happens? What's the result of that?
Then they were quiet last night.
Yes, for one night. Next night they'll begin again. So look what happens to you. You keep on repeating it, and you get irritated, and you become mechanical or authoritarian. So what shall we do to a group of people who are thoughtless, who are unintelligent, who really want to go on their own way? What shall we do? You see, in India, the students are very docile, really too docile. Go to bed at 10, all right, sir, we'll be in bed by 10. And they go to, because, you follow, the tradition is you must obey the older people. That has been established for centuries. So, all right, sir, I'm in bed. We won't call, but they might call behind. You follow what I mean? But this whole sense of accepting in India and Asia. Here, on the contrary, to hell with everything, etc. Now, what shall we do?
Well, you see, really, Krishnamurti, it's almost like the survival of the fittest. You see, if we don't really feel strongly about what we do feel about, and what does truly interest us, the survival of the fittest law will take over.
Of course, of course.
And so you've got to make it very clear some things as far...
Make it clear. Say, then what? Look, I'm a very orderly person.
I haven't quite understood what Mr. Simmons is saying.
Huh?
I didn't quite understand the survival of the fittest.
I mean that if people are allowed to make noise, have the gramophone on, jump down the stairs, shout about, talk until 2 o'clock in the morning, then get up late, and the cycle begins because it has never ended the last day. And if that is allowed to go on, and we can't convey to them, look, this is what you're doing, and this is, you can't, that is you being an authority, and we're saying, look, it is a common authority of us all. We've all got a certain authority of our own life living, of living things, and so you must convey that. What interests you? What has significance for you?
But you see, they don't take all this in.
I know.
What's more, they say, are these so-called outward forms important, they say.
I know, that's a dodge. That's good.
Exactly. They
Clever.
differentiate between what's really...
Of course. Oh, what does it matter outside? What matters is what's your inside. And when you tackle the inside, oh, that doesn't matter. What matters is the outside. And you can play this game endlessly. Well, so, what? Give it up?
I don't know.
Why not?
if I knew the answer,
I know. Let's find out the answer. Not you don't know and I don't know, but let's find out.
Each person. I think they all want the answers too quickly. They want to sort of wave a wand and say, I've talked to this and I've done this and I've done this, and they haven't responded, they've gone back. But our experience would be that we have indeed experienced all these disturbances at one time. We've also experienced when the general community and the atmosphere has become part of them, unconsciously they have seen things that 6 months before they'd never have seen. I don't want to particularly get in too soon over it.
Sir, here is a problem. Here a group of us, faced with another group of people, students, who are each one of us to the solution of it. And perhaps out of that will come something real. Now, what do you contribute? Come on, sir, what do you contribute? How would you tackle this? We're going to ask each other, how would, and answer it, not say, I don't know, and just leave it for somebody else to settle. How would you tackle this problem? How would you go about it? As Mr. Simmons has pointed out, you can't do it in overnight, but how would you, looking at the whole picture, how would you go at it?
Well, I've been watching this now for about 2 weeks, this particular lack of attendance at the morning meeting. And I'm trying to find out, by paying attention to who does come here and who doesn't come, which students are the perennial, well, whatever, the ones that are absent.
Perennial green.
Yeah, so it's not, so I'm trying first not to just to say there's a lack of attendance, but to find out in which students is this spirit missing. In some students, they do come.
No, Mr. John, you're not answering
the question, right?
Yeah, you're not answering my question, which is, here's a problem. Which you and I must solve.
But I'm also trying to think that this is not really a, I mean, this particular problem, if this was the only problem...
No, I'm not talking getting up noise, I'm not talking...
General problem.
Yeah, general problem. The problem is, let me repeat again, the problem is, here there are a group of people like us, trying to, who have said no frame, no authority, no etc., and at the same time we want them to be orderly, you follow, and so on. And they are incapable of this, apparently. Now what shall we do? Without authority, without anger, without anything, and how shall we awaken in them the feeling, by Jove, this is the right thing to do?
Well, from looking at myself, I think in those problems in which I'm absolutely sure of, I mean, I really know exactly where I stand, and I'm very clear on it. Say, like the question of violence between one student and another. And when I see violence, I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that there's something wrong there. And so, I mean, I can move in that situation.
No, you're not answering my question.
Yeah, but I'm answering it in this way, that in some of these situations, I'm really not that clear. I mean, I'd like to be clear. I'd like to say I'm clear. I'm not that clear on this morning meeting thing.
No, I am not. Sir, you're misunderstanding. Don't take any particular case, assembly, disorderliness, sloppiness. Don't take any particular case. But I'm asking a general question, which is, how do we awaken in them a sense of intelligent action, which includes coming to me, etc., all the rest of it, so that they themselves say, this is the right thing to do, and do it. How would you solve this? Your brother, who is untidy, sloppy, all the rest of it. How will you, out of your compassion, out of your friendship, out of your, as your brother and all the rest of it, say, for God's, how do you awaken the flame of orderliness in him and intelligence?
Well, in class, when there's
Don't take examples. I don't want examples. What shall we do together? You take class, I cook, somebody else does. How do we do this together? You've understood my question?
Well, in general, then, I expect intelligent behavior.
You can't. They're not intelligent. They're
no, but and I show them. I show the person that I'm not. In a sense, I'm surprised when the intelligent behavior doesn't come about. That I'm aware of them.
Yes, it's all right. Be surprised. Oh boy, it's mine, and I go on. You haven't answered. How will you awaken that sense of intelligence in me, in the student?
Well, unless we engage in a relationship with them, they will continue to do.
So, is that your answer? That you say, look, we are really not related to this student. We talk about relationship, we talk about responsibility, we are really not related to the student. Is that it? We really have not this compassion, which I use, that's so much the scientist talks of. Therefore, I can't convey this to them. Is that your answer?
Well, that's the beginning.
Is that your... No,
I think that's the... if we do have not a good relationship, if we have a relationship, and there is a real relationship in that sense...
So you're saying we have no relationship. It may be true. Let's face it, you followed? So you said the only way to do this, according to you, is to establish a real relationship with the student of compassion, of making them feel all the rest of it. Is that your answer? To the problem? If you haven't got it, why haven't you got it? That's the next step, right? Then why do we talk about relationship? Why don't you beat them on the head and say, look, either you do this or get out? So is it generally, I'm asking please, I'm not saying you're not or you are, that we haven't got a serious feeling of responsibility with which goes care and compassion and all the rest of it. Is that it?
Could you say that again, Krishna? Because you went from relationship to what you said.
No, he said we may not have true relationship with the student. True relationship being affection, compassion, patience. I'm concerned with the chap to see that he does this. I'm going to find a way that he does do it. I'm going to find a way. With each boy, with each girl. I'm concerned that they should come to the morning meeting because it's very important to start the day with that feeling of quietness. Start the day with that feeling of together. We are drinking at the same fountain and so on, so on, so on. And it's very important to come tidily, clean, crowd, all that. Is it that we haven't got this feeling of care and therefore we are being ourselves sloppy, mentally, emotionally, not physically, but that very sloppiness of our inwardness makes us, we are responsible, but what we can do, and so on and all the rest of it. You understand what I'm saying? I'm asking, I don't say you are or you're not.
That's not so easy either.
Huh?
I mean, sometimes there's a fear and a reluctance for a student to engage in...
I'm not talking of the student.
Well,
I'm talking about myself. I'm talking of ourselves in relation to the student. We know what the student is. He's irresponsible. He's slackish. You know what they are. Don't. Poor people. You know what?
There's a question, they think they're communicating something of very real value to us.
Which Professor Wilkins said there's a gap between the older and the younger. What are they contributing to us?
I think Brian Jenkins summed it up a little bit in that to be very, very informal is to equate with being relaxed. I know. But
do you know what it means to be relaxed? Do you know what it means to be relaxed? Relaxed doesn't mean put your legs up.
No, but since those meetings, I mean, the old patched trousers, everything's come out, the hair's not put back, and quite frankly, I have stopped asking people to do so.
You know what one of the scientists said to me? He said, "You are very definite, aren't you?"
Well, definite.
No, but
definite, apparently seems to be very connected with authority.
No, you are very definite, which means we are indefinite. You follow?
No.
When one of the scientists said to me, "You are very definite in what you are saying." That means he conveyed the feeling that you have not left the door open for further investigation.
Closed mind, he was implying.
Huh?
Wasn't he implying you made up your mind and that's the end of it?
That's the end of it. And I point, and so on. But the people who are definite are considered to have a closed mind. People who are, say, clear, they say, "Well, this is clear, everything, I'm not concerned." Now what shall we do? Together, it can't be done separately. I can't become a little guru in the corner and attract few students around me. That'd be silly. So what shall we do together to see that this intelligence is awakened?
You see, I think it is awakened, Krishnaji, in that they came here in the first place. I think it is there.
I don't know a thing. I refuse to say it is there.
Well, I think the fact that they are here
but
hints at that.
It may be they indicate to their point. They show symptoms of that.
Yes.
But that's not good enough.
Overestimate that, Dorothy. Maybe the alternative was something awful. So this was, oh my God, anything's better than something over here, so I'll go. I can go wrong.
We don't. With some, that's so.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know.
Let us take it for granted that they are not, and it's my job to see that they are. What shall we do?
Talking to the students, I've gotten the feeling that many of them come here with the feeling the place is different, and the difference of the place will infect them and make them different, rather than they are the place. They are Brockwood, and it's a matter of each one becoming transformed or losing what happened before. And there's a great rift between that, in the sense it's even led to the situation that's occurring now, with a great feeling of disappointment that this place hasn't transformed that that this place is just another school. I mean, someone even once called it, it's like a vegetarian high school.
I know. Right.
So
what, if I may ask another question, what have you got to give them? And what have they got to give you? Have you anything to give them? Yeah, apart from that, I'm not talking that. Have you anything to give them?
Yes, I think we have a lot to give.
And have they anything to give you?
Yes.
What?
Well, it would start with just this ability that they can talk about.
No, I'm not talking. What have you to give them?
Well, what have they to give us?
Both. Look at it first. What have you got to give to them? What have you? Come on. You discuss. You keep quiet. You talk to somebody. Don't jump. Don't be nervous when I look at you. What have you to give them? Have you something to give them?
I think both of us have something to give each other, and that's...
I didn't... You see, you're all so damn clever. Have you got something to give them?
An opportunity to learn.
For some of them, perhaps, for the first time in their lives, real care and concern and affection.
No, I'm asking, have you something to give them?
Yes, I think so.
Huh?
Yes.
What? Wait, I won't even ask. So you know you have something to give. Have they anything to give you?
To begin with, some no.
No.
Not in
have
an obvious way.
It's too complicated.
Krishnaji, I have something to give them.
What?
And they perhaps respond or react to that.
I'm not... I'm asking you, have you something to give them? Not how they take it,
So
how they
asking
receive.
what they have to give.
I'm not even asking you that.
You just did.
Huh?
You just did.
What?
You just did ask her.
Later, I said I'm asking first, have you anything to give to them? And the next question, have they anything to give it to you? Anything to give you? First, have I anything to give to them?
I don't know whether this is
I'm
relevant,
not you see, don't expect what I think you. Have you something to give to me?
there is already a difference in this environment, sir.
A feeling of concern I'd like to give to you. A feeling that I really care, or think I care.
Does that attitude of I have something to give to you, doesn't that create some...
So between, please, you're all... A bee goes to the flower because it's got nectar. It doesn't say I have something to give you. The nectar is in the flower. So a bee comes to it. Now, have you a nectar? Sounds ridiculous, all the similes. I hate these similes. Have you? That's why. Have you something to give?
Not in that sense.
No, please, find out. And when you say they have something to give you, what have they to give? What have these students to give you?
I learn a tremendous amount.
Huh?
I learn a tremendous amount
What?
through my relationship with them.
What do you learn?
Quite a lot about myself.
No. You see, what do they give you? You may...
Well, the relationship gives me something. They directly are part of that relationship.
No, sir, you're not answering my question. I'm sorry, I may be obtuse. Have you? Huh?
There is that intelligence in them. Surely we've got to push away the rubbish or bring allow the rubbish to be seen, and then the intelligence will blossom.
Oh, no, that's a dangerous statement. For God's sake, don't make that statement, because that's a good old idea that God is in you or intelligence is in you. All that you have to do is help them to slip off their ignorance or their stupidity, and then the thing will.
Isn't it so?
Sir, I know nothing about that students. And that's not my problem for the moment. My problem is, have we something to give them? Intelligence, compassion, care, give. Not say you must have it.
So I think we have some, but not very much.
No. You're all...
Krishnaji, if I didn't feel this, then I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't burden the place
No,
with myself.
my dear chap, you're missing my point. You see, look, we've got this problem between us, all of us in this room, that without exercising authority, without saying you must not, these are the rules, these are the form, we have to create in them a feeling of great order, a great sense of care, with their body, with their mind, with their heart, with a care of them, you follow? And a sense of non-violence between each other and between ourselves, between the students and so on. How do we create this spirit in them? That's our responsibility. How do we create it? So that they don't get frightened, they don't resist you. When they are frightened, they say, yes, you did that, you frightened me, but now, and discuss with you, confidence and all the rest of it. How will you create this? I don't know. If I stayed here, if you know what I mean, if I took the responsibility of being, you follow, I would find a way of doing it. I would find it, because I like such a problem. I want to solve it. You following? I want to find out how to do this. No example, no authority, all that, and I want to find a way of solving this problem so that they come out of this. When they leave this place, they have that. Is it an issue that you want to solve this together? Does it interest you to solve this?
Indeed.
Then what will you do? Here you are. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. Before I'm gone. What will you do? How will you set about it?
Well, the ways we are setting about it up till now are long-term, repetitive perhaps, lengthy and so on, and so they hold the dangers of irritation, of authority, and so on. But the only ways that the only doing that I
use
do
any way when you would get the feeling of, I'll get the feeling.
Does involve slowly, patiently, many, many times, and things do happen. But there was a time when you were talking about, is there no way where does it have to be such a long, so many years? Does it? I mean, we're never going to get anywhere.
I know. I can't stand this long years of slow, patient pushing up the hill. I'm bored with that kind of stuff, personally, for myself.
And it holds these dangers which exist here, that are through our gradual lacking of patience, whatever, and our irritation or our whatever, we have become created authorities, perhaps. And the student sees the anomalies that exist.
So if I do it slowly, there are other factors entering into it. The very slowness becomes a habit, and also I accept it. You know,
yes.
I accept it. They're quite right. I'll gradually get intelligent. At the end of it, I'm not intelligent. So we have to find a way of doing this. It's our baby, and we've got to learn to find out how to feed that baby. Right? Now what shall we do? You discuss it, you keep quiet.
I think it's just becoming obvious to the group as a whole that this is a problem. That it's not something that can be avoided.
If it is becoming obvious, then what will you do? Here, now, you have to do something today. What will you do?
Well, I can see firstly having a lot of time that I can associate with the students with what they're doing. And I have one strong feeling in that relationship, and that is I would like to see why their actions appear right to them, because doing the action is in a sense an assertion.
That's very simple.
Is it?
It's very simple. I'm used to it. I'm used to going to bed late, coming sloppily down to breakfast, whatever it is. It's my.
That is not the total relationship. That's not the relationship.
I understand that. You understand, Ted? How will we help each other to solve this problem?
Well,
because you see, as Miss Simmons just now said, they go to bed. I mean, 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and they won't go to bed. And she comes along and says, "Get to bed," and they all get to bed because she says. Then she puts herself in that position of authority. They get frightened. And so they give to her the halo of authoritarian assertion and fear. And therefore they won't talk in front of her. And all the rest of it follows. Now how do we together solve this problem?
You see, if we're really spending, besides in the class time and in the time that we would separate ourselves, if we're more intent on finding a closer relationship that reveals how to do something with them that improves the total relationship. I mean, if we're bent on discovering in the relationship how to...
Aren't you bent on it? Because it's a problem now. You follow?
Right.
Huh? You can't...
See, they're going further too, Krishnamurti. Really, they're saying, look, all these things, going to bed, long hair, short hair, noise, going to lessons, really they're not of very great significance. Why don't we talk about humility, love?
Who says this?
Students. There's nothing ever talked about or done here that has real depth and seriousness.
Quite. Why don't you?
Well, what we have said, we can only move at the speed and the depth we can, and while we come out of our rooms that look like a cave, it's a little bit of a large step to take to talk about love.
No, so to you then, appearance matters very much more than the feeling behind. See, I'm all taking their side. Mm-hmm. See, I want to talk deeply, and you object to my trousers.
Well, nobody stops them talking deeply, but I wonder if we have the capacity to do so, while we haven't been able to do the ABC, so to speak, of ordering our immediate extension of our rooms and our person, that we don't even wash, some of us.
It's also a matter of, in that particular case, I think the students who want to talk deeply, in many senses, they're getting on a intellectual vein, and they have separated these two processes.
Scientists are doing it. The top, you separate, right? Separate everything except their own little circle of knowledge.
But in the talking, can't all that be gone into, so that you don't make it all a theoretical discussion of what is love, but the other implications can be brought in? I mean, can't it be both, in other words?
Well, that's what we
clean your room and talk.
Well, that's what we have been saying, really. But at the moment, these mundane, superficial things should be discarded, and let's get down to business.
But in fact, they're not. A lot of them are not ready for or not able to discard that, and it's the appearances that are our attention to those so-called mundane, superficial things. Doesn't help create a climate where the so-called deeper things can be gone into. It's as though our attention is on the outer and not on what they would see as more deeper things.
What happens if we do what they say?
If we do what?
If we do as they ask and talk about whatever and don't tell them what to do, what happens then? I don't know.
To talk about what though exactly?
Well, humility, love.
Well, surely we must be able to talk about these
things. Then they would say, if I was in their place, I would say, all right, let's talk about it. For God's sake, leave me alone to my sloppiness. And let's talk about love.
But in that talk we might find that they're related.
No, but you see, when they don't want to discuss in relation to love, orderliness, their daily life, it means they're avoiding the issue. Yes. So, you want to combine both. That is, talk, for goodness sake, talk about love or humility, and also, for God's sake, wash.
Part of the same thing.
Of course, but they don't see that.
No, but they want to talk about the one.
And avoid the other.
Yes, but in the talking about that, which is what they want to do, they may come upon this discovery.
Will they? It's our job, come back to it, it's our job to, isn't it, to solve this problem. If I had a son, and I love my son, what shall I do to awaken this intelligence in this boy without beating him up, without scolding, without all the rest of it? What shall I do?
It really is a matter of doing this together. I mean, really it seems that we've got to find a way of really coming together and not just in the same room.
He's my son. I see him every day, at every meal. I play with him. I put him to bed. I watch over him. But he's so damn silly. He's He's in revolt. He says, don't do this, do that, and he goes off, smokes, does this, that. How can I awaken this thing in him? That's your problem, sir. That's what I'm trying to say. How will you solve this?
Krishnaji, if I play with him, if I'm affectionate with him, if I talk with him, what else can I do?
Apparently that has not solved it. You have talked, you have played, you have done all kinds, but he still goes on being disorderly, being silly. If you gave him a chance, he would go to the pub every day.
That will be the next thing.
Huh?
That will probably be the next thing.
Yes, I'm saying. And there gets sex and all the rest of it. How will you...
It seems by facing the issue bluntly with this questioning, either you have the capability or the whatever to discover what to do, or you continue to question what to do.
No, Ted, do you feel they're your sons and daughters? I'm sorry, you understand what I'm talking? Yes. If you had a son here, a daughter here, you would be tremendously concerned, wouldn't you? Or not?
Yes.
If you, then you say, my God, I'm going to find a way to solve this, wouldn't you? You would apply your mind, your capacity. You'd be watching, you'd be inquiring, you'd be digging and finding out how to do this.
Which we are doing, Krishnaji, you see.
If you're doing it, then what is the problem?
It seems to be a very slow process.
Is that what you're objecting to, slow process? Is that what you're objecting to, or
Well, one difficulty that we come up against is that one way that we try to deal with it often is that we get all together in one room, and we may begin talking about something, but there are 20 of us and 40 of them, or whatever, something like that, and more than half of them will never say anything.
I know.
And so then we find out that it's not them talking, it's us talking to them. It's not an interaction.
Of course,
in that method.
Of course, that's why
they can't, and we really haven't learned how to handle a large group situation.
And I accept the.
Krishnaji, if we had, I mean, we'd have done. The fact is that you keep on having to do it. There's no that you have done it at any point. You have to keep on doing it over and over and over again.
Look,
you solve it in a different way each time.
I feel they have nothing to give me. Sorry. What has my son to give me? He will give me, I don't know, what in fact can he give me?
Do you feel anyone has anything to give you?
Not, don't enter. That's what the professor asked. Don't come back to that. But I'm just an ordinary father. What has he got to give me? Actually. So I take it as a natural fact that has nothing to give me.
He can give you a lot of real care and affection also.
Trust.
Maybe.
How to give the trust?
It all depends on me.
Yes.
Not on him.
But then it comes from him also.
When I have it, then he gives it.
Yes.
But it comes from me first.
Of course.
All right.
See that.
So I start with the fact that he has nothing to give me. then what have I to give him?
God, they'll find that difficult, Krishnamurti.
Huh?
They'd find that very difficult.
I'm
just trying to think of it.
I'm not interested what they... I know. What have they given? Please look... This.
One doesn't have to say to the child, you have nothing to give me.
I wouldn't say that to the child, poor fellow. No, don't. Give me a little compassion, a little intelligence. And I would go around and say, look, you have nothing to give me, old boy. Buzz. But I'm saying...
I think that's probably where a problem is, though.
What?
I think that's probably where there is a problem.
What?
Is that...
give you food for thought, food for affection, food for something deep, fundamental.
Well, a bee has a certain natural taste for nectar, and it seems that our nectar is not something that's immediately sweet.
Probably. So what have I got to give them? I have seen much more of life than they have. I've thought much more than they have. I've suffered much more than they have.
They say bad luck.
Huh?
They say bad luck.
I know. I'm looking at it. They have nothing to give me. So they're not in my picture at all.
But they think they're...
Wait, I'm not... What they think, I'm not concerned for the moment.
I'm trying to think of it all now.
No. I know what they think. It's bad luck. You're an old man. Why should you go through all that? And I know I've been with them. When they're 30, they'll talk like this too. So I say, all right, I've heard all that. And I say, what have I got to give them? And if I have something to give them, how am I going to give to a mind that's incapable of receiving something that they haven't even an inkling of? I want to tell them about intelligence that will act rightly all the time, under all circumstances. I want to tell them. That's what I want to give them. They won't accept it. They say, keep it to yourself. You're an old gaga idiot. Let me go our way. We'll experience what we want to experience. We know all that. So how am I to do it? Knowing the difference between us, the gap, they're saying, oh, keep it to yourself. We want an easy life. We don't want to go through all your misery. We'll go through our misery. They don't see misery is the same. It's mine or his. But it's our misery and your misery. So they're essentially thoughtless generation. So I said, now, what am I to do to see my son is really intelligent? I know what I would do. That's simple. It's simple for me.
But you see, they do it to you. They come to your talks and they listen and they see it. They do. I mean, that last talk on Sunday, they did.
I know.
So what is it that we're not doing?
That's just what I'm asking you. What have you to give? Not whether they are capable of receiving or not. If you have something to give, they'll take it. I'm not saying you're not. You have nothing to give. Please, I wouldn't be so silly or conceited or vain or whatever it is.
Probably it's the truth. Probably won't.
No, and that's not my concern. I won't even enter into that conversation and say, I'm just saying it's not my concern. Have you anything to give? Which doesn't mean I get depressed because I have nothing to give. On the contrary, since you're much older, more, etc., you have something to give, you must have. So if you must have, since you have, how will you, what is the communication? How will you convey it to them without all the antagonism, fear, authority, all that nonsense coming into it?
But I think it's not sufficient for you to say you must have. All you have got is a lot of experience, which is nothing.
You have lived 60 years. Have you something to give?
No.
Therefore, why do you talk?
I don't.
You do.
Well, up to a point. Because I want to find out.
No. I'm asking you what you have to give. If you have nothing to give, find out why you have nothing. You don't say, well, sit down and say, I have nothing to give. I just talk occasionally. If you have nothing to give, find out why you haven't got nothing. After 70 years or 60, 50, 30, whatever it is. Every priest says, yes, I have something to give because I love Jesus. And I say, for God's sake, that's just rubbish. You follow? You're not giving anything, you're just repeating. No, that's why I say, you're bound to have something to give. This is not just to encourage you. I mean, that I don't go in those terms. I don't think in those terms of encouragement or discouragement. If you have nothing to give, find out. For God's sake, sit down, find out why you have nothing to give. If you have something to give, then how will you give it to them there so that they take it from you? Without all that without screaming about fear, screaming about authority and all the rest of that business. Right, sir? I think it is a dangerous thing to say, I have nothing to give.
It's also dangerous to say, I have something to give.
Huh?
It's also dangerous to say, I have
No,
something to give.
No, you don't say that. You don't say, well, I have something to give, old boy, take it. They slap you. But I'm saying it's a dangerous thing to say to oneself, I have nothing to give. Because if you have nothing to give, then you can find out why and work. And if I have something to give, I have to find out how to give it without doing harm. There's a marvelous Sanskrit chant. It says, give with fear, give with care, and so on. I won't go into all this. Fear in different sense. So I may have nothing to give, but I want that boy, that girl to be intelligent. I know what intelligence is. to do the right thing at the right moment, irrespective of circumstances and all the rest of it. That means to do the right thing at the right moment means intelligence. And I want to awaken that intelligence. I'm going to find a way of doing it. God, they've invented fantastic instruments, haven't they? Technological, fantastic things. I was looking at something. And here we are, we can't do a very simple thing with human beings. Because we haven't applied our minds to this. Let's apply our mind and see how we can do this. See, to do this, I must be very subtle. Right? They don't know me, my intelligence, what I have. I don't know it myself either, but I feel something I have. I must convey to them so subtly, never in my face, never in my voice, never in my gesture. That's out. They can't just capture something from my word, gesture, word perhaps, but gesture, face, nothing. So I have to say, no, I'm going to be awfully careful quotes, how I look when I talk to them. Not careful, you understand? Not put on a mask. You understand how am I going too quickly? Huh? Never. Because this is something very subtle. That means I am talking to them not at the conscious level. Do you understand all this? Am I making this into a mystery? Huh? Ted, do you understand what I'm talking about?
Well, no.
Look, they've tried.
Let's look at that question again. Do I know what you're talking about? Can you say it? Can you say the same thing again?
I'll say it. I was going to show you. They've tried subliminal advertising. You know what that is? Very quickly. And I believe governments have stopped it. Because it goes much deeper than the conscious. Now, they are obstinate. They have their own desires, their own will, their own tradition, their own habits. Are you going to attack them? You understand, attack? I'm using quick words. May I go on? You understand when I say attack, I don't mean attack. Are you going to go at them or say point out, or are you going to approach it differently? Do you understand what I'm talking about? Or you, huh?
Could you go on?
First step, I want to understand. I'm trying to find my way into it. I want them to change their trousers, right? Clean and all. But I'm not going to go attack it. I'm going to attack it indirectly. Which means I have to be very subtle to convey something to them which they are going to resist. Right? Or throw away. So I have to talk to them at a level that they can't immediately grasp. Which doesn't mean I become sentimental, gooey, and all the rubbish. But at a level where they feel that I'm not against or for, that I'm attacking their sloppiness and all that. I am going to attack their sloppiness. But I am going to do it after establishing at the deeper unconscious level the necessity of order. At the unconscious, please be awfully careful in these words. I'm using it in a particular sense. Don't translate it unless you understand what I mean by unconscious. There I would attack. There I would go in.
Krishnji, I don't think this is totally irrelevant, but it's a little bit far away.
Don't be, if it is irrelevant, keep it so, because this is what I'm talking. It's quite difficult to convey.
Well, it does. I mean, you're talking about a subtle way of communication. Can I give you an example? A student came to me recently. He said he wanted to make a sculpture in wood, a young boy. It's a rude sign he wants to make in wood. Rude sign with the fingers. And he wants to do this very much. And I talked to him about, I didn't attack it directly, but I talked to him about rudeness, about swearing and so on. We talked about this together. But he still wants to do this.
Now how will you convey to him that's a wrong thing to do? Wrong course.
He wants to do it very much.
No, they won't go to the pub.
And also these challenges are continuous. They're not one at a moment. At every moment they arise.
I'm asking, how will you make him see that's the wrong thing to do?
I'm going to spend time with him.
No. Be clear in yourself, sir, first. God's sake, how will you create this thing in him to say, look, I want to do something ugly, and you want to say, don't do it. And he instinctively says, right, I've dropped it. That's what I'm saying, sir. If you say that's the wrong thing to do, he will battle with you. He will resist you. And if you, as you are older, he's frightened of you, might turn him out, and so on, so on. So knowing all that, how will you do it? Knowing he's thick. You understand? His brain is thick. His consciousness is thick. So how will I do it? First, I think this way I would approach it. I will point it out to him, the vulgarity of such a thing. Listen to me. I haven't finished yet. I would point out to him first the vulgarity of such a thing. I would explain it very quietly, logically, sanely, not emotionally. I would point it out, and I'd leave it there. Then, after verbalizing what I want to say and make it perfectly clear to him so that he doesn't misunderstand, and I leave it at that. Then I have to find a way to go behind his mind. You follow? His desire to do such a vulgar thing. How would you do it? One says, how would you do it? He knows he knows very well my verbal statement. He understands English, and I've conveyed it to him very well. But he's resisting it. He says, I want to do it. And he's frightened if he insists too much that you might do something. So he has fear and the desire at the same time to do it. Now what will you do? More you talk, the more he will resist. The more he will say, he's back to the old game, and whenever he sees you, he says, oh, well, you know, and so on, so on, so on. Now what am I to do? Come on, so what will you do?
Talk with him about different matters.
I've done all that. Now, you are missing my point. I have made this clear to him. Vulgarity on one occasion, another vulgarity on another occasion, mischief, and so on, so on. I've done all that. I want to get at him from somewhere else. I want to appeal or indicate.
I might participate with him in.
I'm not interested in participating in his vulgarity.
No, I mean he may have a point.
I'm telling you, he has no point.
No, but he may have a point. He may feel that there is vulgarity around, and we might find a way together.
Wait, sir, that's not my problem. That's not my problem.
That was what the psychiatrist suggested we should do.
What?
Everybody should grouse about all their problems and all their vulgarities and all their inhibitions, and then having collected it all, having put it outside themselves, they would then, I suppose, be free of it. That is exactly
after
what they
vomiting your stuff, of course you are free of it,
yes.
But it comes back.
Yes, that is what I said. And also, you see, what I can't quite understand is why are we having to spend so much energy on such
trivialities?
Behavior.
But the world is like that. The students are like that.
What do you do if this fellow says, look, I'm going to make this sign. It only takes me half an hour. I got the wood. I just want to saw. I'm making it right now.
Oh, all right, but I want him to know that it's vulgar. I've stated it, and I want him to feel that he can never do such a thing.
And surely also
he can, and he would display it and feel fine.
And it would create a precedent.
And he would draw with him half a dozen more who said, oh, good, let's all have a go.
Of course. I want to prevent all that. If you allow one boy to be vulgar, because they've all had that instinct to be vulgar, they'll all join him. Not all of them, some of them will join him. And so you have then a group of vulgar children who will exercise their authority over the other non-vulgar children, and so goes on. So what am I to do? Now look what is happening here. Very interesting. Do you notice? I've stated a problem. How do I'm not conceited, I'm not vain, all the rest of it. How do I make you intelligent?
I wonder whether you have.
Huh?
I wonder whether you have.
That's my problem, I'm saying. I'm saying, how do I, as your friend, say, now, how can I awaken this intelligence in them without pointing away, without authority, without this and without that. If I appeal to your conscious mind, you will raise arguments, examples. It can be done, it can't be done, it should be done, it must. All those sequence of thoughts arise. I know that. So what shall I do? Which is what is happening here now. What shall I do? I have to touch or point or go into a realm where you are incapable of resisting. This is danger. You know this. I'm not talking of hypnosis. I'm not talking of mesmerizing or influencing. I'm not talking in those terms at all. Where your resistance is not. I don't know if you follow. Are you? Have you understood what I'm saying? Huh? Now where am I? Where is that place in you where I can say, yes, if I could only talk to that. If I could only get in touch with that, perhaps you will see something which you see is quite right. I see it. Then that inward insight will operate and function so that the resistance is naturally disappears. Am I making this into a mystery? I am. Yes, I thought so. Phew. I have talked, pointed out, shown, reasoned, logically, everything. And you have seen it. But apparently the student doesn't say, well, it's finished, it's over. From this second, all that's gone. Right?
I think I do sometimes.
No, please, not sometimes. It's poison is out of me. Never, you follow? It's out. And how can I give you the energy, not give, again quotes, how can I awaken that energy in you that says, finished, old boy, it's all over. I've seen something. Not occasionally, I've seen something that clears the whole field. How can I do that? You know, this has been my problem, not yours. When I talk to those scientists, or when I talk to others, it's my problem. How can I convey this to them? They have all the arguments on earth. all the tradition, all their knowledge, all their own particular idiosyncrasies and all the smell of all that. I know it very well by now. And I say, all right, I want to get behind it.
Did you feel that you got behind it with some of them?
Not with some of them, maybe. But I'm talking, that's just my problem. You understand? So when I talk of Pakistan or in Bombay, so I'm going to or Delhi or anywhere, that's in the tent. I say, how? I don't make it a problem, but I see that is the real thing. The real thing in a sense, to touch them somewhere where this awful brain isn't all the time operating, which isn't a mystery, it isn't something higher plane and all the rest of that bilge. What are you frowning? So I'm asking, how you're in that position. You have talked, you have pointed out, you have said do, you have said don't, you have said get to bed, and you have said get the hell off, or you have done all that. Is there another way of communicating with them so that they will accept it? Not accept it, they will, yes, they will see it for them. Is there another way of communicating what you communicating this sense of intelligence and order? Another way. Holding their hands, that doesn't work. Talking to them, endlessly explaining to them, that doesn't, you have done it. It doesn't work. It works temporarily. I mean, it works in totally, so inwardly, deeply. May not be possible at all. You know, it is said the Buddha preached for 50 years. At the end of 50 years, he had 2 disciples who really understood. I don't mean that in that depressing sense. What shall we do? Come on, sir, it's your job. Let's work this out. It's 25 to 2.
Is it?
Yeah. My God.
If it's true, there must be another way.
What is the way, sir? Tell me. See, human beings have tried everything. Song, dance, sex, worship, prayer, introspection, analysis. They've done everything possible. And here we are. We're saying, look, we want to do something totally new. Knowing all that, discarded all that, we are trying something totally new. And therefore one has to have very sensitive mind and hands. Am I saying something? Something new one has to find out. Therefore, I have to have very sensitive eyes and mind. And do we go on 2 hours and 10 minutes?
Why not?
I don't mind, but what about that poor dog is waiting up there?
Poor children.
The children.
Oh!
It doesn't matter. I think it does, really.
I think we better stop.
I think we ought to stop, really. Which seems all wrong to stop.
Well,
it's hungry children. So we can't help it.
See, I've found it for myself.
But we want it. We want to go to school.
You have to find it, not I have to find it and tell you.
But you have to help us.
No. Then you're lost.
We're lost anyway.
No, Miss Pratt, let's wake up.
Let's not go back and forth about that if we've only got a few minutes.
Yeah, I say you have to find it. Nobody is going to help you. That's why I said students can't give it to you. They have nothing to give. So you have to exercise your highest capacity and brain to find out. After exercising your capacity of brain and heart and everything, really exercising to leave it alone. But you have to exercise at its highest excellence. And I think after exercising it at its highest level, to leave it. And say, now, have I done it, have I not done it? You follow all that. Work till you reach the highest, and then leave it, and then the thing will operate.
Krishna, I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean by exercising the mind at its highest excellence.
Oh, I mean that here is a problem, sir.
Yes.
How to convey or how to arouse or bring about this intelligence, order and all the rest of it in the children. It's your problem to solve it. Therefore you have to exercise your mind, your brain, your capacity, your every day, watch it, looking all round in yourself, what you follow, all the time operating at its highest level.
And then you say,
finished. After reaching the mountain top, you don't say, well, have I reached the mountain top? You have worked to reach the mountain top. And then wait and see what happens. Right? Am I conveying something? Huh? If not, I'm sorry. Children are waiting.